Police had the wrong man in their hands that day. Raymond Cole, a 69-year-old janitor, found himself behind bars after being wrongly arrested. It was only 7 minutes later that FBI agents stormed in. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The parking lot outside Pine Hollow Public Library was unusually quiet that morning. Everything seemed calm, until it wasn't. Raymond Cole stood near his truck, bending down to tie his bootlace. A worn canvas bag hung off his shoulder, and a utility knife was clipped to his belt. Just another typical morning. Just another day of maintenance work. But that calm was about to shatter. Suddenly, a police cruiser swerved into the lot, tires screeching. "Hands where I can see them," an officer shouted. Raymond froze. Officer Drew Bell, young and brash, had already pulled out his weapon. His partner, Officer Carter, took his time stepping out, hand still resting on his holster. "What's going on here?" Raymond asked, his voice calm but weary, as if he was already used to things going sideways. "Got a call about a suspicious man who matches your description," Officer Bell barked, standing by the dumpsters behind the library. "You carrying anything?" Raymond didn't hesitate. "My ID and a registered sidearm," he said, nodding toward his coat pocket. Bell's eyes narrowed, and he tensed up. "Turn around, slowly." Raymond complied, moving with the kind of steady discipline that comes from living through tough situations. He didn't resist as they slapped the cuffs on him, and when Officer Bell yanked his pistol from his pocket roughly, as if it might explode, Raymond didn't flinch. "Got him," Bell muttered. "Guys, he's got a weapon. Weird behavior. No badge." "Yeah, sounds right." A few bystanders across the street watched the scene unfold, one even pulling out their phone. Raymond didn't say a word, but inside, something began to shift in him. Back at the Pine Hollow police station, Raymond sat alone in a holding cell. The buzzing lights above did nothing to distract him. His hoodie clung to him, damp with sweat, and his hands were sore from the tight cuffs. Officer Carter was busy filling out paperwork while Officer Bell cracked jokes with the dispatch team. "Guy says he works nights at the library, but he's carrying a knife and a sidearm. Like he's in a war zone or something," Bell laughed. "No priors," Carter muttered, peering at the database. Then he paused. "Hold on. There's something here." A hold on his file. Carter leaned in, watching a red alert flash across the terminal. "Active asset. Do not process. Priority intercept." Carter's jaw dropped. What the hell? The alert blinked again and again, then a new line appeared. "Federal override in progress. Stand by for contact." Before they could process what was happening, the phone rang. Officer Maria Null answered. She listened, and her face drained of color. "Stop everything. Do not engage with him. Agents are on their way. ETA, 7 minutes. "What?" Officer Bell frowned. "Who is this guy?" Null looked over at Raymond, who sat in the cell, calm and silent. "He's waiting," she said, almost in disbelief. Bell scoffed. "He's bluffing." But Carter wasn't so sure. There was something about Raymond's demeanor, like he had been through worse and had nothing to fear from waiting rooms. Exactly 7 minutes later, they arrived. 3 black SUVs, unmarked. The doors didn't slam. They clicked open with military precision. Quiet. Efficient. 4 agents entered without saying a word. Suits, earpieces, calm yet commanding. They didn't ask for attention, they took it. At the front of the pack was Agent Vance. Early 50s, silver tie, eyes that missed nothing. "Who arrested Raymond Cole?" he asked flatly. Officer Bell stepped forward, all his confidence drained. "We did," he said weakly. "Officers Bell and Carter. We got a report of suspicious activity." He matched the description. "And he had a firearm." "You ran his ID?" Vance asked, his voice as cold as ice. "Yes, sir," Bell replied, almost apologetic. "That was your mistake." Vance brushed past them. Rivera, a second agent, was already pulling up footage from the station's mainframe. Inside the holding cell, Raymond looked up for the first time, his gaze unwavering. Agent Vance opened the door himself. "Asad R. Cole," he said, his voice low, respectful. I'm Agent Vance. We're pulling you out. Raymond let out a slow breath. About time, he replied, his voice calm but firm. I was starting to wonder if your priorities had shifted. Vance gave a tight nod. They haven't. But you've been off-grid for over a decade. He paused, eyes narrowing. The ping wasn't supposed to trigger until someone leaked the 1989 list. Raymond raised an eyebrow. So it's happening? It's moving fast. Raymond stood, his knees cracking as he rose. He didn't blink. They didn't know who I was, he said, looking toward the one-way glass, but they sure knew who they thought I was. In the squad room, Agent Rivera placed a classified file on Officer Knoll's desk. She opened it cautiously. The words were heavy. Operative Cole was embedded in Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, and North Africa under federal directive. Black level clearance, direct field coordination. 1985 to 2003. Reinstated under dormant program protocol in 2016 following exposure risk. Knoll read it twice. He's still active? Agent Vance didn't flinch. Was. Until your officers nearly blew his cover. Officer Bell muttered, why would a guy like that be mopping floors in a library? Vance turned to him, his expression stern. Because that's how cover works. He was hiding in plain sight. And now that his name's resurfaced, he's on a kill list. Bell swallowed. We didn't know. No, Vance said coldly. You didn't ask. Inside the evidence locker, Raymond retrieved his pistol, sealed, clean, and registered since 1973. Officer Knoll eyed him. Why do you still carry that thing? Raymond's gaze didn't waver. Because there are people out there who don't forget. And I'm not talking about allies. Knoll hesitated. Was it true about the child in Thailand? The hostage mission? Raymond exhaled. 4 operatives went in. I was the 5th. We got the boy out, wrapped him in rice sacks to hide the blood. I carried him 12 miles through jungle. I still remember his eyes. You saved him? Knoll asked softly. I gave him a chance, Raymond replied, his voice steady. That's all anyone gets. Turning to Agent Vance, he asked, where to now? We've secured an off-grid safe house, Vance said, his voice unwavering. But this won't stay quiet. The leak wasn't random. Raymond looked over his shoulder at the station, the walls that held doubt, the faces that had questioned him. Then they'll come again. Vance didn't disagree. 2 weeks later, everything at the Pine Hollow station changed. Officer Bell was under internal investigation. Officer Carter had been reassigned. Both were flagged for failure to de-escalate and procedural misjudgment. Officer Knoll? She'd been offered a temporary position as a federal liaison. Someone had noticed her restraint, her questions, her silence when it truly mattered. She never heard directly from Raymond again. But one morning, a letter appeared on her desk. No stamp, no return address. Just her name, Knoll. Some people think the war ends when the gunfire stops. But it doesn't. It just gets quieter. You listened. You didn't need a file to know something was wrong. You trusted your instincts. That's rare. Stay rare. RC. She pinned the note to the inside of her locker. No speech. No ceremony. But she walked differently from that moment on. Not lighter, but more aware. At a small recovery center tucked away in the Appalachian woods, a group of veterans sat in folding chairs, one younger vet speaking fast. I can't sleep. I keep replaying the ambush, the convoy, like I'm right back there every night. Raymond Cole, now in civilian clothes, nodded slowly. You never forget, he said softly. You just learn how to carry it without letting it carry you. One of the vets asked, how long did it take you? Raymond stared out the window, his eyes distant. I'll let you know when it does. As the group filed out, a young volunteer approached Raymond and handed him a sealed file. No name, just said it was for him. Raymond opened it alone. Inside was a grainy old photo of a 6-year-old boy, now a grown man, standing in front of a UN peacekeeping center. On the back, a single sentence, "You gave me a chance. I used it." Raymond leaned back in his chair. No smile, just a quiet breath. For the first time in a long while, he closed his eyes. He didn't need to fight back. He just stood there and let the truth speak for him. Because some men carry secrets, and some are the secret. If this story made you feel something, don't forget to subscribe for more. Because the most powerful stories are the ones we almost ignored.